Hi, so for my semester-long project, I selected a close friendship that has been a part of my life for several years. I chose to focus on a friendship rather than a romantic or family relationship because it provides a meaningful balance of emotional connection, independence, and ongoing communication. This relationship has developed gradually over time through shared experiences, mutual support, regular interaction. There was no single defining moment that established the friendship. I feel that that's probably because this person has been a part of my life since I was 3 years old. So instead, it grew naturally as trust and understanding of one another. We were able to build that through everyday communication and consistent presence. So, despite changes in life circumstances or responsibilities and external stressors, this friendship has remained relatively stable. Like many long term relationships, it has evolved as both of us have grown and taken on new roles, priorities, and obligations. This evolution has required adjustments in communication availability and expectations. And the relationship is important to me because it represents trust, emotional support, and mutual respect. At the same time, it includes occasional communication challenges, which is why I feel like this is a very strong candidate for analysis on this course. I chose this relationship specifically because it is both meaningful and practical in terms of communication growth. Unlike more casual friendships, this relationship is more regular interaction and a lot of emotional investment between us. And there are moments of alignment where communication feels easy and natural. But then there's also times where we misunderstand one another and we could misinterpret things, and that could lead to a lot of effort for resolving, at least. These moments, they're not necessarily dramatic conflicts, though, but they're just small communication breakdowns. And if it's not addressed thoroughly, it can accumulate. What makes this relationship especially relevant for this project is that it is one I genuinely value, and I want to maintain this relationship. And because of that investment, applying interpersonal communication concepts feels purposeful rather than theoretical. So instead of analyzing communication in a detached way, this project allows me to reflect on my own communication behaviors, patterns, and assumptions in relationships that matters to me. This makes learning more authentic, I feel, and it just increases my motivation pretty much to apply what we learned in class with this relationship. So for interpersonal communications, I feel like one concept that really applies to this is relational maintenance. So it's the ongoing communication behaviors that we use to sustain the relationship over time. These include openness, positivity, assurances, shared tasks, and regular check-ins. So in long-term friendships like the one I have, I feel like maintenance happens very subtly, but it can be taken for granted. So this concept, it'll help me examine whether my communication is actively supporting the relationship or unintentionally hurting it, causing distance or misunderstanding. So I feel like it's particularly relevant to during periods of stress or limited availability. When communication can become more transactional or infrequent. So by using this concept, I can analyze how changes in tone, responsiveness, or emotional presence affect the overall dynamic of the relationship. It also allows me to reflect on whether I'm being intentional about maintaining the friendship or simply just assuming that it will continue without effort. So in addition to relational maintenance, I believe active listening is one big thing, and it's an important concept for this project. Active listening involves fully engaging with that other person, what they're saying, both verbally and non-verbally. Looking at the non-verbal cues is really important, especially with this person. So rather than simply waiting to respond, I would have to just go direct with it. So in close friendships like this one, it can be easy to assume understanding based on familiarity. However, assumptions like that can be harmful, and it can prevent truly listening to my friends' messages and whether I respond in ways that I demonstrate understanding and empathy that can be taken differently as well. So another concept is perception checking. So that involves clarifying interpretations rather than assuming intent or meaning. Miscommunication often arises not from what is said, but from how messages are interpreted. So by using perception checking, I can explore how assumptions, expectations, or past experiences influence my understanding of messages within this relationship. This concept will also help reduce misinterpretations, encourage clearer, more direct communication. And I feel like I'm good with that. I feel like it can be a lot stronger when it comes to this friendship. I feel like I've just gotten so used to being very go with the flow, and I've kind of learned to neglect like how I feel about certain things. So I feel like being more direct would be like a really good thing to work on. So when I explained the project to my friend, I was intentional about how I framed it. I presented it as like an academic assignment focused on improving my own communication skills rather than just evaluating them or like the relationship as a whole. I did emphasize that I would not be sharing personal or like private details, and that the purpose of it was self-reflection and growth for myself. And while it is mostly like about the relationship, is about how I'm responding to this person, while I guess analyzing how they're responding to me. I also wanted to ensure that my friend felt respected and comfortable rather than scrutinized or judged for this, and she was okay with it. So the initial reaction was very supportive, but also very curious. She's very curious. She expressed appreciation that the project was focused on communication improvement rather than just criticism. And I feel like this response helped reinforce my confidence in selecting this relationship, reassured me that my approach was respectful and appropriate, and I feel like I came at it at a very good way. So knowing that my relational partner was open to the idea also made me feel more comfortable engaging in honest self-reflection, and I feel like I'm going to continue to feel honest throughout the semester. So one initial goal I have for this relationship is to improve clarity and intentionality in communication, particularly during moments of stress or disagreement. So when stress is present, communication can become rushed, indirect, or emotionally reactive, so my goal is to slow down on my communication, express my thoughts and needs more clearly, like when it comes to emotional. I am a very direct person. I've said that multiple times in these talking points, but I feel like on an emotional standpoint, it's very different, and I feel like I should attack it a little bit more differently. So I need to remain attentive to how messages are received and how I send them. And this can include being more mindful of tone, timing, and word choice. Another aspect of this goal involves addressing unspoken expectations. So in long-term friendships, expectations are often implied rather than explicitly stated, just because you assume, and that can just lead to a lot of misunderstanding. So by applying course concepts and becoming more aware of my communication patterns, I hope to reduce assumptions and encourage more open dialogue between me and my friend. So ultimately, I feel like my goal is to strengthen the relationship by improving mutual understanding and maintaining trust through intentional communication, and for personal growth within my communication with my close friends. And so throughout the semester-long project, I hope to apply interpersonal communication concepts in a practical way that benefits both my academic growth and my personal relationships. By focusing on meaningful friendship, I can explore communication behaviors and how they influence relational health over time and develop skills that will be transferable to other relationships in my life. I'm looking forward to working with my team on this. I am also very curious to know how their relationships are going to be, and I'm excited to see this. So, thank you.